Let's take a look at the statements made by the NYPD, the spokesperson for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, and Mayor Eric Adams. Hi, my name is Meredith Constant. I look at media literacy primarily through the lens of the British media and the British royal family. So we're going to look at the statements, but we're also going to look at the reporting. But first, a note about headlines. Headlines are designed to generate clicks. They're generated to catch someone's eye. And if they're good enough, a lot of times they encourage people to share on social media without having actually read the article. I also want to say, in defense of writers, they are usually not responsible for the headlines. They're also written with SEO in mind, which is search engine optimization. For example, we have this one from The Sun. Recollections vary. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's car chase story disputed by cops who cast doubt on 2-hour and catastrophic claims. Your intuition is to trust what's printed. Maybe not from The Sun, but they wouldn't be in circulation if people weren't reading and sharing them. We're going to look into the actual statements made in a second, but look at this one. I think this is maybe some of the most egregious reporting I've seen on this incident. This was printed in Yahoo by The Wrap. NYPD dismisses Prince Harry and Meghan Markle account of paparazzi chase. Nothing happened. It's a bogus story. Exclusive. When I read this, my first thought was, wow, I haven't heard anyone saying that it's a bogus story. Let me read more. In the article, it's far down, but it's in there. Quote, but 2 wheels of one vehicle did jump a curb at one point, and 2 uniformed officers reported being nearly missed as the paparazzi took off. End quote. So it was nearly catastrophic. They also quote Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, as being a skeptic. Again, we are going to get into these statements in a second. But then there's this. I want to focus on this part when they talk to a duty officer at NYPD's 18th precinct who declined to be named. Quote, nothing happened. It's a bogus story. Don't believe everything you read in the newspapers. End quote. The article then goes on to say that the 18th precinct is at 306 West 54th Street, the closest to where the chase took place. So at first I was confused because they don't stop at the 18th precinct. After they can't shake the paparazzi, they go to the 19th precinct where they hail a cab. It's Sonny's cab. They get in 10 minutes around the block. They realize, okay, we haven't lost them. This isn't working. They go back, they get back in an SUV. So I decided to map out a few things. Point A is the Ziegfeld Theater where Harry and Meghan were at an event. Point B is the 18th precinct, which yes, is the closest one. C is the 19th precinct. But here's the thing. We know that they go down and try to take FDR Drive to shake the paparazzi. It wasn't until after that didn't work that they went to precinct 19, which at that point would have been the closest one. It's just really easy to look this up. But the headline of this article makes it sound like the official statement from the NYPD was that nothing happened and it was a bogus story. When in fact, that relies on one statement from an anonymous duty officer at the 18th precinct. It's misleading reporting. It's a misleading headline. It's one of the worst pieces I've seen on this, and that's saying something. So what was actually said? First, we're going to look at the spokesperson for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Here's what the statement says. Quote, last night, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and Miss Raglan were involved in a near-catastrophic car chase at the hands of a ring of highly aggressive paparazzi. This relentless pursuit, lasting over 2 hours, resulted in multiple near collisions involving other drivers on the road, pedestrians, and 2 NYPD officers. While being a public figure comes with a level of interest from the public, it should never come at the cost of anyone's safety. Dissemination of these images, given the ways in which they were obtained, encourages a highly intrusive practice that is dangerous to all involved. End quote. And I think considering what nearly happened, one could categorize it as nearly catastrophic. They're also hoping to convey the severity of what can happen when the paparazzi act like this. Their statement is going to be more emotional. I might have changed the wording on this relentless pursuit lasting over 2 hours. I might have said this entire ordeal or something like that because I could see how you could quickly read this and think that they were being chased for the entirety of this over 2-hour period. There were stops made at the precinct, car changes, etc. Let's see if the police statement contradicts that. Quote, on Wednesday evening, May 16th, the NYPD assisted the private security team protecting the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. There were numerous photographers that made their transport challenging. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex arrived at their destination and there were no reported collisions, summonses, injuries, or arrests in regard, end quote. These are not two different statements. They're saying the same thing in different ways. But also from the police perspective, they don't want to whip up and cause fear in the public. They want to ensure people that they know it is safe to live and visit New York City. Think about those tourism dollars. You also want to display competency. Don't want those budgets being slashed. The statement from the police shouldn't look like the statement from the spokesperson for the Sussexes. One has emotion tied to it, which is understandable. The police want to ensure that the public know that they're safe and that there were no collisions, summonses, injuries. The Duke and Duchess's statement doesn't say there were either, but conflict sells stories. And now for Eric Adams. Online chatter is very focused on one sentence that he says during one of his statements.
I find it hard to believe that there was a 2-hour high-speed chase. I find it hard to believe.
Yes, it's hard to believe because no one said high-speed car chase for 2 hours. That is not in either one of the statements. Nowhere in this statement does it say a high-speed car chase. It says highly aggressive. It does say car chase. But let's look at what else Eric Adams says in his statement.
If it's 10 minutes, a 10-minute chase is extremely dangerous in New York City. We have a lot of traffic, a lot of movement, a lot of people are using our streets. Any type of high-speed chase that involves something of that nature is inappropriate.
He says high speed again, but he also reiterates that any amount of time someone is chased, pursued, tailed is wrong and it's bad. I don't know where he got high speed from. Sometimes people misspeak. It's frustrating because on the one hand, the media has a responsibility to report accurately, but they're also profit driven in many cases. And I don't know how you balance the two things. But I think as consumers of media, we can learn to slow down and dig into articles, look for original sources, look for the interview where someone says something to determine, is the reporting accurate? Or does it leave something to be desired? Or is it completely false? Besides the high speed part, I don't see a ton of disparity between all of these statements. I do see statements that are coming at this incident from different angles, which is understandable.